such a phenomenal football player.
With one for John.
We're back with Rapids Europe. It's obviously a big week for the Rapids in the playoffs this weekend against Minnesota. Who better to talk about the game than the captain of the club himself, a man from the UK? So it's good to have you on, Jack Price. Jack, it's an honor to speak to you, man.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. No, I really appreciate it. Looking forward to speaking to you.
It's great to have you on. It's just funny. We've had so many different people on all season because we've been going all season, and I think to really top off the playoff coverage, to have you on is an absolute pleasure. Jack, going to maybe talk about your career before the Rapids and obviously with the Rapids now. Anybody that watches this show or follows me on Twitter knows I'm a massive Premier League fan. I'm a massive fan of English football because in Ireland I wouldn't say it's non-existent. We've got Dundalk in the Europa League at the minute, but it's not as big as England. You obviously forged a very good career for yourself, especially with Wolves back a few years ago now. How did you find Wolves when you were there? Obviously now they've really taken a step up with Nuno, but you're definitely a Wolves boy at heart, I guess, in the first sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I still follow them now, the results, and like you say, they've since Nuno's come in, they took off the new the Fosen group. They've got money to spend now, and you can see in the Premier League they've been a real force in the top 7, I think, the last 2 years. But obviously, my career, I started there when I was seven years old, so it was a good 18 years, I think, before I signed for the Rapids when I was 25. So it was a lot of good times at a club. It's a really good football club, and like I say, I wish nothing but the best, and I still follow them now and all that side of it. And it'd be good to go back. I went there a couple of years ago, I think, to watch the Wolves Chelsea game, and just to go on commentary with Mikey Burrows and a few Andy Thompson and a few of the boys there. So it was nice to see a few familiar faces and go back. And that's one thing about the club. I think because I was there for such a long time, they still see you as part of it, and they're so welcoming when you come back. And it was just really good, and especially the relationship I had with the fans, that was incredible.
And it's one of those clubs as well where I'm delighted they're back in the big time as well. And they're a club, if anybody is watching this in the States, if you ever go over to England when COVID does finish, feel free to go to Molineux. Great stadium, great atmosphere, and great people in Wolverhampton as well. Obviously going from Wolverhampton, Jack, to Colorado is it's a big move. Were you always open even early in your career to maybe playing internationally, playing in the MLS or playing somewhere else? And how did you find the move originally when you came over in 2018?
To be honest with you, mate, I didn't really know too much about the MLS when I got, it was rumours I could come out here, and I obviously thought of playing in other countries in Europe and stuff, but never really this far. And for me, it was a big change because I lived in Shrewsbury, a little town, which is 30-40 minutes away from Wolves. So all my life I've lived at home. I've never had to really move away apart from a couple of loan spells I had. But so for me to come all the way to America with just my girlfriend really at the time, Lauren, there, it was a big step. But I felt it was needed. It wasn't just because I felt my career was just, it was a bit stagnant at the time. It didn't seem to be going anywhere. And when I heard I got an opportunity to come out here, and I was like, you know what? It's a great opportunity for me to go and play football again. And I hadn't played a lot of games in probably about 18-month spell really at Wolves. So change was needed. I didn't, Nuno was perfect with me. He always said, like, if you don't want to go, you can stay. Because I came out and saw Colorado for about 4 days to see if I liked it, whether I wanted to come and all that stuff. And he just said to me, listen, if you don't go, there's always a place for you here still. So, which was nice. But also I knew for my career, it was probably best. And thankfully the last 3 years has been great for me on the field and off the field. So it's been a life-changing moment, but it's one I never look back and regret.
And you've definitely, it's been great to watch not just the progression of yourself, but the progression of the team over the last few years as well. And it's just been a great year, and we'll talk about that in a second. I'm presuming that you're obviously enjoying life. You're obviously enjoying life in Colorado as well. As somebody that goes over once or twice a year to go to different games, different sports, it's a great place to live, isn't it?
It's a lovely place, mate. Yeah, obviously I wasn't too keen on mountain hikes and all that sort of stuff, but it grows on you. But no, it's a lovely place, like you say. It's sunny 300 days of the year or something stupid or whatever it is, and it's just a happy place to be. The people are nice, places to eat, bars, restaurants, all that sort of stuff. It's a step up from my little village, Shrewsbury, little town.
It's definitely different than a Tuesday night or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke, as they say over here, as I'm sure you're aware yourself. But
yeah,
a great place, and for me, I'm still not used to the altitude, but hopefully I get over it again to try and get used to it in that sense. You're obviously now, and you might not agree with this, but I definitely think this. I would say you're definitely a fan's favorite now. Um, even from the start. Obviously, the fans haven't been able to been in the stands this season, but how have you found the support from the fans since you've started here? Are you surprised? You've obviously got groups like Centennial that are massive fans of you, man.
They're brilliant. They've been brilliant for me since day one. I remember the first day, actually, me and Lauren, we went down to have a photo shoot. There's a big sign in downtown. It says Denver, and it's all colourful. And there was about 50 to 100 people there. And it might not seem a lot, but they were so nice. It was just the hardcore fans. They were there, like saying, welcome, you're a part of the family. And it meant a lot because you don't get that everywhere, and especially at a club that's, it's not the biggest club, but they have the hardcore fans, like you say, the C38. They have that supporters group, which is fantastic. Yeah. And we've missed them a lot this year as a player, as a club, we've missed them supporting us because they get you that over that final, that's 20, 30 minutes when teams, you can see they're dipping in the altitude and they get behind you and they're fantastic. So we've really missed them, but their support's still been great, over social media and different ways, you have to communicate now these days. But like for me personally, I think they've been huge for us as a club, and the last 3 years since I've been here, we've moved forward, and they deserve success, and hopefully we can bring them more of that towards the end of this season.
Let's see what happens over the next few weeks, please God. And obviously, talking about the supporters there, it has been different this year. And obviously, with news coming out this week over here in the Premier League, they're going to try and start to bring fans in different countries, obviously. But hopefully, next season, the fans get back in and we'll see what happens. How different, Jack, is the MLS to English football? Is it something that you expected, or are you surprised maybe?
At the last last couple of years, when I first come here, I didn't realize how physical the league would be. It was a league full of athletes, up and down. And to be fair, in English football, people always ask me this question, and it's a hard one to answer because I can't. Me playing a lot of my football was really in the Championship and League One. So the difference to me, it's apart from the Championship, you play every Tuesday, Saturday. It's 46 games, but the quality surprised me because I didn't see a lot of it before I came out. And obviously, you hear of the players like you say, Beckham, Pirlo, Lampard, Gerrard, all these players that come out. But it's more than that. There's so much talent in the US at the moment. For instance, we have Cole Bassett on our team, who's 18, 19 years old for the last couple of years. And there's talent all over the league like that. And you can see that there's links with moves going to Europe and for these young kids. And I think that's why it's getting better, because kids are signing from a younger age and playing in the first team, not from the age of 22, 23, coming out of college. So I think that's, for me, is a big step for this country to move forward.
Absolutely. And I watched the Wales game last week for the US, and I was flicking between that and Ireland, but the team that the US have now in comparison to what they even had 10, 15 years ago, it just shows you the development, and that probably goes into the way that the league is played as well. You've mentioned a few names there, Beckham, Pirlo. Didn't mention Kevin Downlow or Robbie Keane, but I'll leave that out in that sense. The MLS is growing massively. We are around the same age, believe it or not. I think I think I look a lot older than you, Jack. But we were talking off screen a minute ago. Obviously, the time that Beckham went to the Galaxy, I remember there used to be a TV show on Saturday morning over here. It was in Channel 5, and it was like this big MLS match of the day sort of thing. I think now it's definitely taken it's definitely taken more seriously over here. And I personally am surprised with the growth of the MLS in Europe, never mind the UK. Over here now, obviously, with Sky Sports having it and Free Sport and Premier Sports, there's a lot more. And to be brutally honest with you, as long as it's not during the week, there's always a very high chance of there being a Rapids game on TV here now. A lot of them have been. And the game this weekend is on TV as well on Free Sports, folks. There's your free plug. Have you been surprised with the growth? Because for me, I know you've been over there, but the growth has been very big in Europe.
It's huge, yeah. Like you say, it's on Sky Sports and Free Sports and all that back home now, whereas probably wasn't like a few years ago, especially before I moved out. I remember there'd be the odd game, like you say, with Galaxy or New York team would be on, and that would probably be it. But like you say, now Colorado Rapids are on every other week or every week. It's fantastic. And that just shows how the league is growing, like you say, because but even I personally thought a lot of players came here to retire, like Gerrard, Beckham, and probably just came for the money. But it's not that anymore. You see Carlos Vela's 29, 30. He's been here for a couple of years. So it's people in their prime are still coming here and doing well and wanting to do well. And I think, like your point before, how serious the league's got now. And I think they want to take it to the next level, and they want to be one of the biggest, leagues in the world, which the way they're going, it's going to be right up there.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops in that sense. Obviously, now as team captain, you've got a new deal signed you there, 2022, potentially 2023, and obviously, please willing it's going to be longer than that. Have you set yourself any goals over the next few years? Obviously, the Rapids are moving up and up. Have you any goals for yourself over the next couple of seasons?
That's a good question, actually. I'm not really one of them that sets goals, which is a bit surprising, probably. But I think as a club, like you say, we've moved forward the last few years. I want to be a part of a team that's, always in the playoffs every year. You don't want to be a team that's in this year, next year we struggle. We want to be continuously in that playoff hunt, winning trophies. And we won the Rocky Mountain Cup this year, and that's great. It was great for us to lift a bit of silverware. It was great for the fans, more importantly, absolutely. But we want to win the MLS Cup. We want to be a support shield because they're the main trophies in this league, and that's success. Like I wouldn't class success as making the playoffs, which has been great. Of course, it's a nice feeling. You go to Portland, you get the result, you're in the playoffs, you enjoy it that night. But then there's a bigger picture now. You're in the playoffs. You want to win MLS Cup. Like you're not just in it to take part in it. You don't want to go to Minnesota on Sunday and say, "Oh, well, at least we made it." It doesn't really matter now. We want to go and win it, and that's got to be the club's emphasis now as a club and moving forward. Success needs to be trophies, not just making playoffs.
Absolutely, man. And before we talk about this whole playoff situation this weekend, and obviously against Minnesota, cast your mind back. I mean, you haven't been home, right? So the UK and Ireland for me, man, the last 6-7 months have been so weird because it's just been and obviously across the world it has been, but for us, whenever the Premier League was shut down for a few months, obviously the MLS starting and then going. I'll never forget one of the first leagues to come back, obviously with the MLS after the Premier League. This whole situation in Florida, the bubble. I've spoken to guys involved with the Denver Nuggets and said to them, did you think that the bubble with the NBA would work? Which was fantastic. Yeah. I was surprised how well it worked for the MLS. Now, it as a concept, having a pitch beside a pitch, how did you find that short-term bubble? I know for a lot of maybe for maybe you guys, it was like a second preseason, but did you enjoy the bubble? Would you do it again, maybe, or are you overlearning in that sense?
I mean, I'd rather not do it again if I'm honest. We didn't do too well as well in it, which didn't help. I mean, if we go in and do well and win it, you'd say, "Oh, of course we do it again." But I think just the whole situation, we have a lot of players with families, so it was tough. I know it wasn't long. We were 20, 30 days, maybe a month,
like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. The NBA. But it's like it's still, you miss your family and you're worried about them because they're by themselves in a country where they're not from. So, especially for me, but the football side of it, of course, if we had to do something like that again, you'd be open to it. I remember when they first talked about doing that bubble, I was like, this ain't going to work. Like, it's going to be terrible. We're all going to get the virus, whatever. And to be fair to the league and to the people that work down there in Florida, it was fantastic. There was hardly any cases apart from the first two. I think it was Dallas and Nashville that had to eventually, kick out the tournament. But apart from that, everyone was perfect. Everything was fine. And I sort of at the time didn't want it to work because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go and be in a bubble without doing anything for a month, without family. But to be fair, like I say, it did work, and I'd be open to doing that again, especially if we have to do it maybe for pre-season or something, because I'm not sure what that's going to happen next year. But yeah, right. No, it was great. The league did a really good job, so I can't knock it.
I have to agree with you. Like, I was one of those doubters, I think, beforehand, and it worked out. And look, at a time when we couldn't really leave the house over here, there was MLS on most. Like, there was football on in the evenings. It was like, especially when there was nothing else on, and those early games were fantastic for us. I'm not going to lie, like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lived in the West Coast, it might be a bit different, but look, it worked. You guys came back and went on a roll over the last few months. I don't know, like what happened over the last few months, because it's really went from strength to strength. It's just been a fantastic few months.
Yeah, I think apart from, like you said, the Orlando tournament, where we didn't do ourselves any justice really in that tournament, we knew we could play a lot better. But since then, like when we kickstarted the season again, we were getting, I think we drew 3 games in a row, 0-0, I'm sure it was. And I remember looking back at those performances and thinking, we're so close to just turning a team over. And then we go to Salt Lake and we turn them over 5. And then we go home to San Jose and we turn them over 5. And I'm thinking, that was coming, like, because you could see the performances were there. We just weren't getting the results. And I know it's easy for me to say that because as a fan, you want results. You want to see the team winning every week. But when you see the performances, and we just had the belief from the gaffer and the coaches that, lads, listen, just keep doing this and results will come. So we had the belief and the confidence that we were playing well, even though we weren't picking up results from the start. So, and then, like you say, we go on a roll, and now it's it's anyone's. Like you make the playoffs, and it's just anyone's now. We're in a great run of form again, like you say. We've just won the last 3, 2 on the road, which is not easy in this league. But we're full of confidence at the moment as a team, and we should be.
You're saying that as well. That last game, please forgive me if I'm wrong, it was against Houston, yeah? Obviously on the road. A few guys rested, including yourself, and to even see the team pick up and get the win I think it was fantastic. And even before that as well, some of the performances from yourself, different players, Shinziki, I've really been impressed with Sam Vines as well. I think the team just works so well together at the minute. And going into this weekend's game against Minnesota, I think the Rapids, well, over here on the betting market, they're definitely an underdog. But you guys obviously are full of confidence. I'm looking forward to the game. Obviously, you're going to be excited for the game. I'm presuming you guys are of the mindset that you're going to go all the way, yeah, in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Because, like you say, we're a team that's in form, and I don't think anyone would want to play us right now because of that. And okay, it's not a home game, but we've seen we can go out and get ground results on the road. We have in Portland, we have in Houston, Galaxy, other places, Salt Lake, obviously, and that's what good teams do in this league. They get results on the road, which isn't easy. So from the first 2 years I was here, I don't even know if we won that many games on the road in the 2 years compared to what we have this year. So I think it's a big difference. So we're not worried about getting a home playoff game. Obviously, we don't like that. It's an advantage in the altitude and stuff. Obviously, we're not the fans this year, but it would have been an advantage. But to go on the road now, and we played Minnesota twice this year, deserved more in the last game, drew 2-2 in the Orlando tournament. So we know each other. They know each other. They know us as well as much as we do. But we're confident going into that matchup that we can get a result this weekend. No bother.
Absolutely. The game on Sunday, well, I was going to say Sunday, it's like Monday morning here, but sure, it's all good. Free Sports, I think it's 12:30 at night. I want to just confirm that. 12:30 at night, 5:30 Mountain, which is 12:30 at night. I got the time difference right, Jack. Happy days. Look, I tell you what, I mean this. Everybody over here, whether they're Broncos fans or Nuggets fans or mainly Rapids fans, we wish you all the very, very best of luck. Not just on Sunday, but for hopefully the rest of a very successful playoff run. It's been a pleasure having you on, and we really do appreciate it. And you're more than welcome on during the off season. I mean, if you're ever over back in Wolves or anything, give us a shout or Shrewsbury. I mean, we'll definitely have to meet up and talk about the ball at some point.
But mate, yeah, honestly, yeah, I really appreciate that. I enjoyed that. Enjoyed that chat, mate. And thanks for the